working and studying. And there is one panelist here, Sangeem Khan. If I ask him to give his story, he's the one who broke the shackles. He just came out of Balochistan, and he's now an active social activist at the national level. And he studied, he worked, and did a lot for the society. So there is one youth and all praises. So there is a silver lining. We have wonderful youth. You talked about that have faith in youth, and then the seniors should enable you, and you talked about your mentorship role of your parents who encourage you. You made a very interesting statement, and I'll leave it open for discussion also. You said that let the youth, we talk about disparity, and so there is a provincial disparity people talk about. So I'll straight away go to Balochistan. Sangeem, the floor is yours, man from Ziyarat and representing youth of Balochistan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I'm very thankful to Iqbal Institute of Policy Studies for inviting me and organizing such an important seminar, especially for youth. And that's very important, that needs our attention. And I'm very delighted and pleased to join my co-panelist. As you know that prosperity, development, and success of any country depends upon the integrity and performance of that particular country. There's no doubt that talented, educated, and competent youth play an important role in the development of a country. In this regard, I'm very much optimistic when it comes to Pakistan. Pakistan is, blessed with this youth bulge. We have this non-compromising and visionary youth who can really translate and materialize their, potential into reality, provided that that platform is considered. As reported by United Nations Development Programme, Pakistan, 64% of Pakistan total population is below 30 years. So this is what our strength. Now, this relies upon us. How do we manage them? How do we, use them? Now, coming to the topic, is our youth prepared to play its role for the development, for the prosperity of the country? Well, to my understanding, the topic should have been, have we prepared our youth to play important role, to play role for the development, prosperity of the country? Because I have been looking the answer for this question, but I have not found any satisfactory answer. But I trust a seasoned and esteemed panelist would try to inculcate their experience to me. As far as Balochistan is concerned, since I'm from Balochistan, unfortunately, due to flawed policies of previous governments, Balochistan has been out of national cohesion. It is not much focused when it comes to education. Let's talk about education. Balochistan, which contribute 43% of land mass overall, but let's talk about its education. We have roughly 5 to 6 universities. Now, how we can expect when we have 5 to 6 universities? I'm not sure whether or not they are providing that quality education. What are the contribution of those PhD scholars? The thing is that we have to correct our priorities. We have to correct our discourse. We have to prioritize education. So I think that unfortunately, the biggest challenge that we are facing, the youth is facing, that is education. We need to ensure educational, strong and effective education policies so that youth is included in that. Taking an example, I'm very much sure. Let's talk about the silver lining. Dr. Yarjan Abdul Samad, who is the first Pakistani space scientist working at United Kingdom with a top scientist team who belongs to, the Turbat area, far-flung area. So this is the talent we have, this Pakistani youth has. Just we need to provide that opportunity. We need to, materialize that potential. And let me tell you, I do believe that we have that potential, and God forbid, if we do not, materialize that potential, nefarious designs of enemy are quick enough to float dollars, to, exploit them for their own nefarious example. Taking an example, recently an MPhil graduate from Qaid-e-Azam University who was captured by non-state actors by BLA and was convinced to raise arms against Pakistan. Now, this is the biggest burning questions. Before we expect our youth to play their role, we have to see what are their desire, what are the aptitude of our youth, whether or not are they prepared. youth cannot, prepare itself. I think it is a responsibility, prerogative of the government. It's a state responsibility to prepare them, to equip them with that particular and solid ground. If we do not, I think, if we do not provide that solid ground, I think then we do not deserve the right to expect our youth. This is very much important. Moving forward, when it comes to education, the world is moving toward the knowledge-based economy. Now we are still stuck with the traditional, teaching methodology. I think we need to move in that direction as well. In this regard, recently, as a social activist, I've been, experiencing so many students coming with that they're concerned with the COVID-19. So they just imagine more than 10 districts, they don't have the internet facility of the students, this young, dynamic or talented, competent youth. Then how we can expect our youth to play their role? Moving forward, in regards to, there's another thing which I feel that these days, especially educated youth of universities, they're in a confusion. When I say confusion in a sense that they are polarized in a way that with the emerging trends of various sub-nationalist movements, with that various types of, I think we need to inculcate, we need to revive the beautiful concepts of the thoughts of Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah or Allama Iqbal. How beautiful the concepts were given. I think the ideology of Pakistan, we need to reinculcate to them, and that is, with the La ilaha illallah, that can bring all, completion into one platform. That's very much important, where they can play an important role. Now, moving towards acknowledgement, when we talk about those loopholes and negative side, at the same time we have those silver linings. Just like I think other institutions need to learn from the armed forces of Pakistan. The way Pakistan Army is doing an amazing and remarkable job in engaging youth in different aspects. Taking an example from the way they are constructing, developing cadet colleges, military colleges, especially the young talent, the young students from far-flung areas of Balochistan, they are being engaged, they are being brought to national mainstream. They are they are enrolled in various universities. So I think the way armed forces is doing in engaging youth, that's very remarkable. I think other institutions can do the same thing, provided that if they have the with this passion. So with that, I think we need to be very hopeful, since our religion teaches us to be hopeful and being faith in Allah. Our youth is very dynamic. If they are given that particular opportunity, I'm very much sure they can materialize and translate their potential into reality and take Pakistan to the zenith of success and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagin. I think a wonderful speech you have given, and you talked about silver linings, that Balochistan youth has great potential, and so has Pakistani youth, and you gave few examples also. You talked about a Baloch student who was doing MPhil in Qaid Azam University in Islamabad, and he joined the ranks of anti-state elements. We'll hear from General Ijaz Awan later on this, but I think it is the engagement. There has to be mentorship. The guy coming from there, he must have felt isolated. There was not perhaps sufficient engagement, and the anti-state elements are looking for such people they build on their petty grievances and having a snowball effect also. And then it is the overall collective responsibility that such a wonderful youth, he was engaged and went in the wrong direction, and he could have been a great asset for Pakistan. This is what I feel. And
society, and to top it up, where we are seriously and creating us and big names like that, how can you do it when you pay meager amount?
Okay, there is PJ, there is interruption. So we'll get back to you later. Sangeem, there is one question I would like to ask you. But before I ask you a question, you belong to Ziyarat. So what made you Sangeem Khan? Can you just educate us about your story?
Thank you so much.
Sangeem Khan from Ziyarat, now in Islamabad.
Thank you very much, sir, for honoring me, for inviting me to this show. Sir, hello.
बोलते जाएं, please.
Okay, sir, it all began, very honestly speaking, all began with my passion and zeal with Armed Forces of Pakistan. I was, twice not recommended from ISSB, but that passion led me to the welcoming gesture of Armed Forces of Pakistan. Then I took admission at National Defense Universities, where the, faculty members, where the senior officers of Armed Forces of Pakistan, the way they encouraged me, the way they provided me with this opportunity, the way they encouraged me to use and materialize your potential. This is one thing. Another thing, sir, which I believe that we cannot put all blame on the government, on the state. At the same time, I think it is responsibility of the youth as well to have that urge, to play. At initial level, I was, having the same frustration that nobody would welcome me, nobody would give me that opportunity. But I started, working hard, interacting with intellectuals, making research. So when I interacted with them, so I found them very interesting and very welcoming. So I believe that it is the urge of from one own self. That urge led me to this level, and for that, honestly speaking, again, the all credit goes to the welcoming gestures from army officers.
So the conclusion is that it is the supporting role of the seniors, which Anam talked about, that was in play. That's what made Sangeem Khan. There's one question directed towards you. Give me a short answer. Is Sardari system in Balochistan an impediment to the growth of youth?
It could be answered in two ways. First, yes, it does. Unfortunately,
only 18 years old, and this was the time when I was actually in the middle of studying my engineering degree. So I did not give up on my engineering degree. I worked 72 hours as well. The best working hours of my life were 72 hours consecutively without a sleep. So the point to take, note here is not that I am trying to brag about myself, but what I'm trying to tell you is, all the listeners here, is that I had a lot of other class fellows and acquaintances who were actually studying, who were working hard, and at the same time, they were, studying too, just to go ahead and enable themselves in future and have a career progression. Now we need to have more and more examples like this in our culture. Cultural support diversification बहुत ज़रूरी है. This is what, taking from my particular experience from last 9 working years in a profession, I would say that we certainly need to enhance our culture and provide more support to our youth like this. अब ये किस तरीके से हो सकता है? This can only be done if the generation before us, as in our seniors, and I see a lot of seniors sitting in the panel here too, and I'm really happy and I feel more empowered because of this, because everybody is talking about supporting the youth. So how do we do that? We do that if our seniors have faith in us and they enable us to provide us this support. Now, candidly speaking, I'm sitting right here in front of you. It could have been vice versa too. Probably you wouldn't know who Anam Zorain is, and if she has been a learning and development professional, and she's been working in the field for last 9 years, where she's only 27 years old right now, being a woman in a country like ours. And mashallah, as we are growing more, we are providing more support to the females of our country too, and I am really, really glad like that. So currently speaking, if it couldn't have been possible for me to sit here if my parents as an older generation did not have belief in me to do this. Belief badi generic si term hai. If I make it more concise and precise, they gave me the right freedom to choose to excel in my career path. So if it's not for our senior support, I'm sure that we will not be able to do this. Third or last pointer jo hai mera debate ka wo yahi hai that we as a nation need to understand this now, that this is a time where our seniors, I would rather not say older generation because senior it is, and title yahi banta hai, earned title. So our senior need to let the youth take the lead at this point in time, and surely should govern them, but with their supporting role only. Youth and the seniors, we need to work in synchronization as a team in unity.
Sangeem Khan, you are star of the day in a sense that we love to hear from people from Balochistan. And Anam, Zorain, thank you very much for being here. And
Ziyarat very soon. I'd love to go there all the time. It's a wonderful place. And it was such a pleasant surprise, I must say, to hear such an enlightening thoughts from Sangeen Khan. But the bottom line is what PJ Mir Sahab had said. Sangeen has been matured and cultured and trained and counseled into what Sangeen Khan is. So it's the institutional role which eventually is, I'm so proud to be talking to Sangeen Khan in an area which is one of the hinterlands of the country. I mean, with such eloquence and such insight, I was really happy to hear from him. And obviously, he spoke about the enthusiasm, but at the same time, the effectiveness of the education system. And obviously the responsibility of the government and the responsibility of the youth at the same time. Otherwise, the